Wow, what a day. This is why there is nothing like the World Cup. One of the most extraordinary days action. We had high expectations and it delivered in spades. Welcome, this is the Unbeaten World Cup Show. Hello James, hello Francois, great to have you with us.
Good to be here.
Still haven't quite got over what we've just seen. We've got three fantastic games to talk to you. It is important to say, sayonara Japan, Auf Wiedersehen Germany and tot ziens to the Netherlands. Literally seconds ago, we've witnessed one of the most remarkable penalty shootouts, maybe even the worst penalty shootout in terms of calibre we've ever seen. We're going to come to that real soon. First, though, we are going to kick things off with today's first game. Let's talk Brazil 2, Japan 1. Francois, Japan, we played pretty much how we expected and had the best of things for that first half.
Yeah, they started really well. Obviously had that first goal off a mistake from Casemiro and Brazil. But then they couldn't really get to second or third gear. It felt like they were a little bit stuck into their advantage and held back a little bit. And then Brazil took over. Ancelotti had a great coaching scheme at halftime, putting Cunha a little bit in the middle and having Hendrick in the forward spot. So really changed the game, and Japan suffered and just couldn't resist the Brazil comeback.
Couldn't cope with them. Ancelotti, what a masterclass, James.
Yeah, I think he's really shown with this Brazil team how as the tournament's gone on, things have tweaked here, there. I mean, special mention for Cunha and how Ancelotti's kind of through the course of this tournament just shifted him into a position to run the attacking show for Brazil. As much as you've got guys like Vini kind of finishing off, doing their magic, the fact that he's progressed not only through the tournament but then also in this game, seen what he's up against with Japan, which was probably as he expected, and then been able to find those gaps, find those holes, make them believe despite being a little bit on the back foot and make the right calls at the right time.
There just seems to be nobody better than Ancelotti in world football to react to games, Francois.
Yeah, he's very adaptable. He knows his squad. He also has the belief of his player. It is second to none, as in getting the players to really adhere to the philosophy of his team. And yeah, it's not always great football, but he finds ways. He finds ways to make to get these wins.
Yeah, I guess if you are a player for Brazil with Ancelotti's track record, you do exactly what he says, and therefore you can get away with that. You can be flexible and things in a way that we've generally like to see teams stick to a strategy. Yeah. Japan tried that, James, and it didn't go too well for them in the end. They also started this tournament with a very strong statement saying that we've come here to win it. It's a round of 32 and they're heading home. How are they going to process that?
I mean, look, they've kind of come to the end of a cycle. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be the end, but Moriasu's been there in charge of them for a long time. He's changed things up this tournament, done something that Japan haven't done in the past with their formation. And I think the statement about coming here to win, for me, I think as much as it's nice to believe these things, it's a change of attitude towards entering the tournament. He's acknowledging that Japan can no longer be just happy to be there. It's about actually going and doing something that they haven't done before, which might not be winning it, but even semis and getting to making themselves a contenders, if not this tournament, then the next tournament, and they just can't be happy to just be there, like we saw with Scotland, for example.
Well, yes, and the reality is they just came up against a brilliant manager and a particularly brilliant player in Vini Jr., again player of the match. Is there any stopping him?
Yeah, it's very hard because sometimes you don't see him for like 50 minutes and then he strikes like suddenly, and it's very hard to plan for him because he's not the focus of that Brazil team, but he's always there and he can sneak in a goal at any time. So it's very, very complicated to plan against him.
Incredibly influential. And talking of being influential on this game, James, Casemiro. As a Manchester United follower, you've got a good view of him. He was very influential in several ways. It was his mistake for the opening goal, but ultimately when the chips were down, it was him that got them level. What did you make of Casemiro today?
I think ultimately you can still see he is a good footballer, but really, his first half was like the first half of the season for Man United last year. And then he did about 16, 17 minutes of the second half of the season for Man United. So, he's a top player. Just can he play at the top level all the time? Probably not, which is possibly why we've seen him leave Manchester United, that and the wages. But he's a quality player. I've liked him at Man United a lot, despite him being towards the end of his career. I like players like him as well. He just doesn't quite have the legs.
Yeah. And that midfield for Brazil is going to be key for them, I feel like. You have Paqueta and Guimarães, who had both very, very good tournaments so far. So if Casemiro is able to play at his best, Brazil is going to be a very serious contender.
They're going to need them. They're going to be going on playing either Côte d'Ivoire or Norway. We'll find out who tomorrow. How will teams, whoever they might be, face up to Brazil? What's the opportunity? How do they try and get a win against that incredible forward line and the genius of Ancelotti?
Yeah, it doesn't strike me as impossible. It feels like they have weaknesses. They are not like a very solid team from the offense to the defense. So you can definitely move them around. That first half wasn't a great showing from them. So yes, they are a very solid side. I do think that there's going to be opportunities against them. And both Côte d'Ivoire and Norway are very strong, so it's going to be a good game either way.
Both very capable of scoring lots of goals, and you fancy that maybe it is that sort of attack. So an argument, just seeing how that Brazil have gone today, maybe they try and go out and play badly in the first half. Find out all of the strengths of the other side and back yourself that you can always get back into the game.
I wouldn't put it past Ancelotti to be such a mastermind playing that 5D chess as it's known these days. I absolutely wouldn't put it past them doing that. I think teams can combat. I mean, if they can take advantage to their full effect in early on, before Ancelotti can talk to them for a second time, and then third time, and then fourth time through the game, maybe there's something to go there. But I think it's very clear with Brazil, even if you get the early goal, one goal's probably not enough against that attack.
Yeah, very good. Well, the Japan, we have unfortunately to say sayonara to. It's been a really disappointing tournament for Asian sides. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. It does leave us the big question though, who's going to clean up the stadiums now? So thank you for your fantastic service as always, Japan fans. Sorry it didn't go better for you, we were right behind you. Coming up after this, we are going to be discussing two of the most extraordinary World Cup games, both going to penalties. This is as good as it gets. Stick with us, we're going to be right back. This is the Unbeaten World Cup Show. Welcome back to the Unbeaten World Cup Show. And just bare minutes ago, we were witness to an extraordinary game at Monterrey. It was Netherlands 1, Morocco 1, and Morocco winning 3-2 on penalties. The end of the Netherlands' exciting World Cup run is at the round of 32. And breathe was kind of the sense at the end of that game. Extraordinary game played in sweltering temperatures. Also, they were changing their shirts in the first 15 minutes because the sweat was just dripping off them, and they had to play that in 120 minutes. Just a fantastic game of football, though, wasn't it? We got all the attack. We didn't get loads of goals, but we got all the attack, and it was just thrilling to watch.
Yeah, it was good to watch because we've seen a lot of games where it was kind of a one-sided show these last few days. So really two even sides, although Morocco ended up, I think, playing the better game. But it was really good to see that level of intensity, and this matchup was really good.
It's a huge test for Morocco, which they've passed, but that sense, they ended up having quite a lot of possession at the end of it, and certainly the best chances, James. So good value for the win?
Yeah, I think Morocco deserved it, taking the penalty shootout out of it, regardless, even though that was how they won. But it was hard to get a sense of the momentum without watching the momentum trackers. It didn't necessarily feel like anyone was really taking control at all for those first 60 minutes. I think Netherlands, through this tournament, have been quiet and they've gotten victories. And then this was the first time we've probably seen them against a team who was really able to take the fight to them, and didn't probably have that much respect for the Netherlands. I mean, Morocco are 7th in the world. They don't need to respect the Netherlands. And I think they just struggled with that. They were never able to carve anything through Morocco. I know they've got a goal, but had a couple of chances here and there, but it never felt serious. Never felt like Morocco were in danger.
You feel for the Netherlands. You know, they've topped their group. They've certainly done everything that was asked of them. And their reward for doing so was to play the team ranked 7th in the world, who are unbeaten in the tournament, looked absolutely exciting. And that's what they've had to do, and it feels very stiff in a round of 32 to have to try and overcome that. But it was, as you say, 6th versus 7th in the world rankings, so it was teed up to be an absolute classic, and that's just what we got. The Netherlands broke the deadlock with a fantastic goal from Gakpo, taken well, but a really good pass from Somerville. And had a very emotional reaction. He's had a really challenging week personally. Cody Gakpo, he and his partner Noah van der Beek announced that they had lost their unborn child. So absolute love and sympathy goes to them. You can understand the scale of that emotional reaction for him scoring a brilliant goal in a massive game. And so that moment was very, very special. And another special moment in injury time. And remember, in this game, after 90 minutes, Netherlands were winning and going through. When a fabulous cross, brilliant run from Issa Diop to get his head there first. James, where do we feel about Virgil van Dijk's defending for that cross, though?
I think Virgil van Dijk's been suspect for quite a while, to be honest.
Okay, so you're not going to just criticise him for that, but his whole defending. Good.
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw it with Liverpool through the season. Like, he's not. I mean, maybe he just needs a time off. He's played a lot of games over the last few years, and he's shouldered a heavy burden for his Liverpool team and for this Dutch side. You know, let's talk about him being the Netherlands' big brother through this tournament. You know, looking after all the other players. It's a lot to bear, but yeah, I mean, he just didn't jump.
He didn't jump. No, the ball was there, and you see the cross, and he seemed surprised that this massive man was behind him, enormous man, and headed home. Yeah, it's a good point with Van Dijk. I think he played every minute for Liverpool this season, didn't he? One of the very few players in probably the world's toughest league as far as physical demands go. And yeah, so it's difficult to single him out, but that was a massive moment and a fantastic header from Issa Diop, one of the many Morocco players that's impressed us. What's been your verdict on Morocco so far, Francois?
Yeah, no, just to go back on Issa Diop, I think it's his second goal ever, like club and nations team combined. So yeah, kudos to him, and the World Cup is about that as well. But I really like that Moroccan side, that midfield with Boadi and Alayenaoui have been really amazing since the beginning of the tournament. Saibari in front, so he didn't score today, but we've seen him like he was all over the pitch. So really impressed with them, but it's not a surprise. We knew that they had a very good squad. They play together also very well. They're going to be a very tough opponent.
They've got a really good shape off the ball. I think you know it's not ultra defensive, but it forces the opponent to try and move the ball quickly. And I don't see many teams at this World Cup yet. I mean, still a long way to go, who could really profit off of that. I mean, you've got you've got Argentina and France, you know, the obvious ones where you could see maybe causing a bit of issue. But yeah, there's no real other sides that I think Morocco should fear at all.
And they look well balanced too.
Yeah.
Like we're going to talk about France, and they have some issues, but Morocco has a very strong defense and also like very dangerous attack. So you can see them doing well.
We'll gloss over the fact you say France have got some issues. We'll come back to you on that. We're pretty big fans, Francois. They're so very, very nervous about that. Unlike Canada versus South Africa, where we were very grateful to a late goal to save us from 30 extra minutes, today the late goal came as a blessing because it meant we could watch 30 minutes more of this brilliant game, and they did keep on attacking. It is going to be tough, I think, for them now going into the next game with the minutes in the legs. But let's chat about this shootout. I mean, James, it was perhaps, it was very exciting, perhaps lacking in quality.
Yeah, I mean, the Netherlands have got Ronald Koeman as their manager. I mean, he was exceptional at penalties.
Oh yeah.
Free kicks. Like, I don't understand how a Ronald Koeman coach side could be that bad. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure there. Thousands of people in the stadium, millions around the globe watching. But yeah, I expected the Netherlands to be the most composed, as much as Morocco probably, you know, with how they're in a position to be making the statement for African football in a sense. There's maybe a bit of pressure, but they've got freedom. Like if they lost that game, no one's really criticising them too much. Whereas I think the Netherlands are going to become part of that. European teams haven't done as well as they potentially or people thought they were going to do. So yeah, it was bad.
With I felt for Bart Verbruggen, who and penalty shootouts naturally you can be heroes. Goalkeepers generally you can only really be a hero. It's very rare for you to turn into a villain. And Verbruggen had made some fantastic saves in the game. He really kept his side in it. Such a good keeper at Brighton, and looked like to have done the job. So that moment where he made the save onto the post and then it sort of rolled squished underneath him. He just wanted the ground to open up beneath him, didn't he?
Yeah, he had his foot lagging behind and it just hit his heel and ended up in the
Dribbled
goal.
into the goal.
If he'd got a stronger wrist to it, then it would have gone
Strong
wide.
wrist. We like the strong wrist chat has been a theme of the World Cup that we're a big fan of. That was amazing. We had Hakimi missed the post. Penalties were dragged wide, and Bunu made the save from Somerville. I've not really seen a penalty save before where he's moving across. And talk of strong wrists, you must have been delighted.
Well, yeah, I mean, he just thought he's going to go this side. If I stand up, I've got a better chance of saving it. I can't recall ever seeing that tactic before. He tried it just beforehand and didn't make it, but he stuck to that tactic and it worked for him. The confidence of the players stepping up, though. I mean, I could understand a keeper doing that, going against the norm, doing something different, because none of the players looked like they wanted to be taking a penalty.
They looked petrified.
Trained, like it felt a little bit like they haven't trained penalties for a while.
Well, a lot of national team managers decide not to because they say we simply can't replicate the conditions. Like taking a penalty in training is a completely different thing to taking it, and you understand it. You absolutely felt all of these penalty takers going up.
You want to train just to know who are your best shooters, just so you can pick the 5 best out of.
You want to train to give your keeper the practice because you can't replicate the conditions, but like. They don't have the pressure in goal because they're expected to be scored against. So if there's 80,000 people or no people watching, it's good practice for them to be able to watch a player's body shape, at the last minute, react in those moments. It's valuable to practice it just for your keeper.
Well, fundamentally, it's a skill. And what we saw in this shootout and the other one we're going to come to any second was stuttering and giving the eyes, I'm looking over here, but I'm going to kick there. And you just feel like, just take a good penalty. Yeah. Surely the skill is very good. So that brings us very nicely on to Germany 1, Paraguay 1. Again went to penalties, which Paraguay won 4-3. I don't think too many people were expecting the South American nation to get the better of the European giants. But again, you could argue they're good value, couldn't you, James? For the performance, what they brought on the day was sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, I've been disappointed with Paraguay this World Cup until today. Even their last match, they played well. They've clearly, I probably wasn't necessarily expecting such a defensive setup from them in their first match, but they've grown into the tournament. I'm probably not putting them next to the contenders, but we'll get to that on the Vibes board later. But they were really good value, and Germany just didn't show enough at all. Germany treated the game the same way they treated the penalty shootout, just not trying very hard. That's what it came across. Obviously not true, but I wanted more.
Yeah, and Ciso put Paraguay ahead just before half-time. That felt a very significant goal. And then that gave Germany the opportunity to kick themselves in the rear end over half-time. And France, they did come out and they got that goal, but then didn't kick on.
After that goal, I thought that they would be kicking on, and they didn't. It was really disappointing from them. But that's what we thought of Germany from the beginning. They struggle when it's time to score goals, I guess. Paraguay had a great showing, though. Yeah. That was really good to watch.
It's interesting. Germany mentioned that they have struggled to score goals. They've also struggled to keep them out. It's something, I think 2014 was the last time that they kept a clean sheet at a World Cup. So it's a significant issue for them. And the goal...
When was the last time they lost a penalty shootout?
And this is great. Let's get on to this. So we're moving on. Kai Havertz got their goal, by the way. Fantastic cross from Wirtz. But the penalties in Germany is just a thing. They don't lose penalty shootouts until today. So they've had 5 penalty shootouts now at the World Cup. They've won all 4 of the previous ones. but they have lost today. In fact, Germany's only penalty shootout in history was 1976 when they lost to Czechoslovakia. And the reason that many of you might know this, it's a very famous moment in the history of football, is that they lost to a penalty scored by Antonin Panenka. That was the famous chipped penalty down the middle of the goal, which sent West Germany, as they were, out of the European Championships. That's the last time they lost a penalty shootout, 1976. It's been 50 years and an unpleasant half-century anniversary for them today. Yes, were you as stunned as me about Germany losing a penalty shootout?
I was stunned that they got to the penalties, to be honest. when they get to the penalties, then it's kind of a coin toss, not really, but almost. It was good to see Paraguay, I guess, winning it. They had a very collective performance defending the ball. Of course, it wasn't great football, but they've done a job and they deserved it, I think. Yeah,
it struck me that Paraguay were somewhat happy to play for penalties once they were sort of won, and as you would if you've got a 6'6" goalkeeper. You feel like that's not a bad strategy at all. Perfectly respectable way and legitimate way to win. But Germany, meanwhile, should have surely, James, taken more of the game, knowing that that was a lottery and they've got a big goalkeeper to face. And where was Germany's effort and enthusiasm?
I don't know if you're necessarily thinking about the size of the keeper in the penalty shootout. I mean, I'd hope these players are not going into these games thinking about penalties, other than having a few practice drills in the lead up. But yeah, I kept expecting Germany to step it up, particularly when the momentum was with them after scoring the goal. But it was like we were back at 0-0 again at the start of the game and too nervous to attack because we're going to concede. But I don't necessarily think Paraguay seemed that dangerous, and I felt Germany could gamble a little bit more than they did. Why they didn't, I mean, why Nagelsmann's side didn't seems a bit beyond me. Their attack, I mean, I know they put in a lot of goals in their first match, but after their attack's not that great. It's not, there's a lot better attacks at this World Cup. So other than that first game, they do look like they struggled to score, and they need a real nailed-on opportunity in order to put it in the back of the net. And of course, they did score ahead of penalties, but it was disallowed.
Disallowed goal. Great. Let's go to that. We felt a fair decision, the right decision to rule the goal out.
I think it was, yeah. It's a tough one. Could have gone either way, but at some point you're not supposed to spread your arms like in front of the goal. So
he had his arms out.
Yeah.
For the keeper,
so it felt fair. And to be honest, they've tried to put Unav in the lineup because he was the one scoring the goals from the bench since the beginning of the tournament. But if you are like at this point of the tournament trying to change and shift things, it's a bad sign for like the dynamic of the squad, I think.
Quite know where they were. James, it was a fair shout. Ultimately for me, the goalkeeper makes that save if he isn't impeded, so it is a foul.
Yeah, I mean, what detracts from it is the goalkeeper going down like a sack of potatoes. I mean, it felt unnecessary, but at the same time, I kind of get it, because if you don't go down, you very rarely get it. Though keeping refereeing standards, VAR standards, you hope have gotten better and they would be able to see these things. But yeah, I mean, he saves it every day if he's not impeded, unless of course the impeded is what stopped him from necessarily chasing the ball, because he could have been chasing the ball and he's totally out of position and he's not getting it. So I just think the attacker is keep your arms down. If you've got to force a question to be asked, you're doing something wrong, ultimately. I'd love to see it not given, and but I can complain about the old days another day.
Well, as it was, the goal was ruled out. It finished 1-1. We were treated to penalties, which in the comparison to the Netherlands-Morocco game, it was a bit of a better spectacle, but not by much. Kai Havertz missed the first kick, and that's always very, very difficult to recover from. Manuel Neuer, we talk about the Paraguay goalkeeper there, but Neuer seemed to be not quite centred. He was encouraging players to go to his left, and then Balbuena kindly obliged, so he saved the important kick, James. How do you feel, like Neuer, again, from a German point of view, would they have been confident with such an iconic goalkeeper when it comes to a shootout?
Yeah, I mean, through his entire career, I don't think Neuer's ever really stood out as a great penalty saver. We talk about the Dutch, he's not exactly Tim Krul between the sticks, but I mean, I feel like he's just decided it's a lottery anyway, so if I just dive 5 times to my left, then I'm going to save 1 or 2 of them. And that's how it worked out. Maybe that's why they lost. I could have saved more if he was anticipating it, but also at his age, not that he's that old, but for a keeper, but maybe his reaction of watching and seeing what they do and seeing which way the ball comes off, he knows he's not going to get there by doing that. He has to just guess and be able to dive at the same time.
Notable in this game, Francois, you dug up this stat earlier, was Fabian Balbuena has something in common with Justin Kluivert from the Netherlands game.
Happened twice.
Twice in the same day, and 9th out of 11 in history. Tell us about this.
So yeah, it's exactly the sub that comes in specifically for the penalty shootout, like usually after the 115 minute mark, is actually supposed to make its penalty. But in 9 out of 11 times, they actually missed it.
They missed the penalty. You're bringing on the specialist penalty taker, and they stuff it up. There's a message there for managers. If you've got somebody that you're bringing on specifically to take penalties, 9 times out of 11 in World Cup history, it hasn't worked. Notable, great, staggering day, 3 brilliant games. This is the reason we love the World Cup. There's no other sporting spectacle that can have a day like we've been treated to today. When we come back, James, I want you to tell us all about the vibes of these teams, though, because that's what we're all here for. You are watching the Unbeaten World Cup Show. Welcome back to the Unbeaten World Cup Show. The vibes today are off the charts, but fortunately we have a chart. So we're actually going to go over now to James and his vibes board. 6 countries. It's pretty much a zero-sum game at this stage for some. You're going through, you're feeling good. You're out, that's it. You're going to casually throw them across the room. But let's just talk about what the sensation of their football, because this chart is half football, half vibes. Let's get started first of all. Brazil, presumably going up in both directions.
Do you know what? I'm not too sure I want to actually move Brazil up on the footballing sense.
Okay.
I'm talking about football, and yes, the quality of the football comes from the coach predominantly. Ancelotti is a massive difference maker for them. I just don't necessarily think they are actually playing that great football. They just know the pressure points of the teams after they've spoken to Ancelotti, and he knows how to adjust things. So I'm going to leave them where they are for now in terms of football, but they've gotten a result that should now, I'm pretty sure Brazilians are expecting to go into every World Cup to win it, but I think other teams are now looking at them and going, kind of like we said earlier, like they are going to score against us. We're not going to shut these guys out for the full 90 or 120 minutes. And that can be troublesome because it can take a coach down a rabbit hole of how to fix it rather than focusing necessarily on, okay, well, let's just score more than them. So it's a bit kind of old school football, old school Brazilian mentality to a degree in a sense. So vibes go up, football stays where it is.
Stuff. That samba vibe is moved significantly there. I fear Japan's vibes, on the other hand, are probably not so clever.
Yeah, I mean, before I do launch them across the room, of course, I still think their football was good. Like, I think they can take stock in that. They've entered a tournament trying to win it, however unrealistically. And I think that's a really positive position for them. So, as much as they do, of course, get the treatment.
They have to go, goodness.
That was a good spot to end the tournament.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see a little bit more out of them against Brazil, to be honest.
I'd like to see more, but I think there's definitely positivity there as the nation continues to develop and chase this World Cup victory.
Very good. Germany will be absolutely hurting this evening, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes, do you know what, those 2 penalty shootouts are going to absolutely destroy the vibes.
Well, they will, and that's what a penalty shootout does.
You know, you can't miss that many times from 9 yards. Like, it's just, It's miserable. So again, gonna get the treatment. But before they do, you know, like footballing sense drops, vibes drop. That's probably where they end the tournament. But
very disappointing. They hadn't necessarily made it out of the group stages for a little while, but they're crushingly disappointing for Germany by the end there. On the other hand, vastly overperforming and getting exactly what they set out to do, Paraguay.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've had them at the bottom of the footballing, which after today, that's definitely unfair. I mean, I'm going to elevate them right up because they've set out with a game plan. For where they've got to in the tournament, they're going to move up slightly in the vibe because it did feel like they were overperforming to get out of the group anyway. But to get past Germany, vibes go up. But they're definitely going to have some trepidation in the next round.
I would have thought this may be peak vibes for Paraguay, and they were pretty good vibes, I thought, in the stadium there. I think they would have been up and about there. Brilliant. Now, the game that took our breath away, Morocco. Definitely have, again, job done. Last time out, they were semi-finalists, so they on track again, and does that affect the vibes generally? Do they have the expectation?
I don't know if they necessarily do have expectation. I mean, in Morocco, they of course do talk about kind of going a step further, but I still think the burden's off them with every game. Yes, they had to get out the group, but I don't think there's necessarily they've attracted the burden that a France or an Argentina necessarily do in terms of carrying the weight of a nation's expectations. So I think really positive football. I think we're going to see even more from them. And obviously be happy to get through the next round, but move them up a touch.
Just a fraction, very
Just
good.
a fraction.
Netherlands, I mean, there must be in a world of pain. It's not, it transcends vibes perhaps. But from a footballing sense as well, what's their feeling going to be at the end of today?
Look, I think they'll be disappointed at the manner in which they've gone out. But I don't think they'll necessarily mind losing to that Moroccan team.
Strong statement.
It's a quality Moroccan team. I don't think they did enough to take it to them and say we want to win this game. They never seem to say, yeah, we're going to win this game and we're going to keep going. Whereas I felt that from Morocco, maybe not for 70 minutes, but from that point on, extra time seemed like an opportunity for them to win the game again, rather than hold out for penalties, which is what it felt the Netherlands were doing. So I think I think the nation will be very disappointed. Vibes down. I think football's down. I'd probably say that's where they've ended the tournament.
Yes.
But
that's where they've ended the tournament, so we say goodbye to them. I wonder if helping Moroccan vibes there is the fact that they're now facing Canada. With just of respect to Canada, I suspect that Canada will be worried. However, Canada will have had 2 days extra rest. We saw the sweat and the pain and everything, so maybe just Canada over there, are we still happy with their vibes? I mention them because they are so far out as the king of the vibes. Will they now feel even better that they're playing a team with so many miles in their legs?
I think the vibes stay high.
Yep.
I think the closer we get to that game,
it might just
start sneaking back.
Bits. Yeah. Certainly, I think on the basis of form, you'd be pretty worried about facing Morocco right now. Brilliant, James. Always good with the vibes board. We'll be checking back in tomorrow when we have three more huge games. They'll be doing well to live up to today's performances. After the break, we're going to be previewing those 3 games, getting a catch-up from the news desk and finding out who needs to keep calm and carry on. You are watching the Unbeaten World Cup Show. Welcome back. This is the Unbeaten World Cup Show. As soon as the action finishes, that's where we pick up and review the day's play. 3 extraordinary games. It's worth taking a moment just to review the success by confederation. We mentioned the disappointment of Asia there. They've just got the one team, Australia, flying the lone flag. Whether Australia are part of Asia or not is up for debate, but certainly as far as FIFA goes, they're part of there. Oceania, sadly, their one representative, New Zealand, has gone home already. Africa going strong. 8 of their 10 countries are still battling. That's great. South America, 5 of 6 are still going, which I guess Paraguay have done them a big favour there. So we've seen that going well. Europe, I think 15 of the 19 countries, which perhaps we'll see thin out over the course of the next few days. There's probably a few big teams, albeit the big names are largely from Europe too. Asia would be, we mentioned them earlier. So that feels like a challenging tournament for Asia.
Yeah, it was always going to be, but I guess their hope was relying on Japan and South Korea shoulders, and these two teams getting out early has a big impact, I guess, on the outlook of the whole continent.
And they had tough draws. It's easy at this stage. It's worth noting that it's a very, very tough draw.
Although South Korea could have gone out of that group with Mexico. I think they should have, honestly.
But they'll have a government investigation into the happenings of South Korea, and I think their coach has been relieved of duties or perhaps stepped down as well. So we will see South Korea bounce back, I don't doubt. Let's move on and look ahead to tomorrow. 3 more games. Let's get into the big Francois. France against Sweden. The 2 brilliant attacks. That's the thing that stands out from these. We've talked at length about France. Sweden have got this attack that's worth £240 million worth of talent. Where do you see that one going, and what are you worried about from a French perspective?
Yeah, so Elanga, Gyökeres, Isaac, all together. That's a very strong attack, and to be that we discussed it before, but France hasn't been tested on the defensive side. Okay. They played a relatively disappointing Senegal team and the B team of Norway, so we haven't really seen what that defensive side looks like. There's big names in it, like Upamecano, Saliba are like really good defenders. But on the fullbacks, either on the left or on the right, there's a little bit of doubts. So it'd be interesting to see how they defend that powerhouse of an attack from Sweden.
I have a question there, James. Are you as wary of France? Do you think there are the question marks?
I don't know. I mean, look, I've spoken about before that it's so disappointing to not see Norway turn out a proper team to help us properly judge France and this French team. The defence hasn't been tested. Maybe that works in their favour. Maybe their attack is so scary that no team's gonna ever test their defence. I'd like to see what France capable as a non-Frenchman and someone who wants to see not France win it. Ideally, I want to know what France are capable of, and I want to see them push to that. Can Sweden do it? I mean, I had them riding really high at the start of the tournament, vibes-wise. They have got goals in them, but I don't see that Swedish defence standing up to that French attack.
French attack that features Dembele, whose hat-trick in the last game had an XG of only 0.13. It's extraordinary. I mean, what a talent.
So what does it say about XG stats, though? Because it was Dembele 1v1 against the B fullback defender from Norway. I've seen that that turned into a goal a bunch of times.
Many times, yeah. XG should perhaps take into account who the X is for. Phenomenal.
But it's really a change of philosophy in that French team that's interesting to watch, because Deschamps' team always been like relying on a strong core defense with a heavy midfield and counter attacks. But he's trying to adapt to the talent he has, so he's decided to put these 4 forwards together, and so far it's been really good. And like we had 2 really strong halves. One like the second half against Senegal, the other was the first half against Norway, where they looked absolutely amazing. So if they're able to repeat that, it's going to be really exciting to watch. But yeah, you have to go and do that against better sides.
Tough. How does Graham Potter and his Swedish side set up for this one, James?
I mean, I don't think he will set up like this, but I think he's got to go for it. I think he's got to say to France, no, don't drift up, don't leave your back line up by the centre circle. sit back, make those spaces, make the space between their attack, who will want to sit high. Mbappe, Dembele, they'll want to be high. So if you can force their defence back, that means you create the big open space in the middle, and that's where they can profit. I'm just not sure he'll do that. Because, as we've seen so far, it's as nature of knockout football, teams are more afraid of conceding than they actually want to score, at least for the first 70 minutes. And then maybe they're trying to score a goal.
That's wonderful. I'd love to think it was, yes, you guys might score 3, but let's try and score 4. That would be a wonderful thing for the game.
It might be that. I'd love that. I just don't necessarily see him doing it.
Not necessarily sure that's Graham Potter's vibe. Let's say it does go the distance. Let's say France. You've got, obviously, yes, we know how France will presumably start. Who are the players that are going to come off the bench? Because for me, that's just as impressive as the starting attacking lineup.
Yeah, so it looks like Barcola is getting the start this time. So him and Doué are kind of switching game to game. So Doué will definitely be entering towards the end. I think Kone has been doing a great job in the midfield, so he might probably be one that also subs in during the game. But I don't think that Deschamps is going to go too deep into the bench. Maybe Cherki at some point, who's been good before the World Cup, not really during the World Cup so far.
So maybe Cherki, the sort of player that would be a superstar for almost anyone else in the world. Terrifying. And if France do get the job done, they will face Paraguay, who presumably will be sort of feel like they probably played their World Cup final, maybe. So that draw is opening up very nicely. Potential really mouth-watering quarter-final against Morocco there would be fantastic. Great. It should be very exciting. Hopefully lots of goals. Next game is Côte d'Ivoire and Norway. Again, really intriguing, James. Two sides that we've seen some really good things of, but maybe not their absolute best.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect of this. Again, that Norway third game, I understand why they did it, but it makes it really difficult to gauge, and that's maybe to their advantage going into this game. Have they been at their best? It feels like they have been. It feels like, other than that one game against France, I think we have seen the best of Norway. And then resting a bunch of players, we should continue to see the best of them. Whereas Côte d'Ivoire, I don't think we have yet. I think there's more to come from them.
They almost
exciting side, though.
Yeah, they almost beat Germany. They probably should have won against Germany, and they have a really, really strong side with exciting wingers. Yohan Diomande is very close to signing with PSG, which
This you're happy about?
Makes me happy. And they have a lot of very, really good players. It's going to be an exciting game. Norway, I think, has shown that they are one of the best teams when they play their best football. Looking forward to this.
And presumably rested players for exactly this reason, is that they are ready for a big game. We've talked of Norway as dark horses, this incredible togetherness that they've got within their unit there, and a really, really tasty striker, Haaland. Certainly, you would fancy them in any game where he plays, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think you have to. You could say he's on his own. He's as scary as the entire French attack, potentially, and the entire Swedish attack, definitely. I'd still be more terrified of Zlatan Ibrahimovic on his own up front for Sweden than I would of the three they've got there now. That person who can make something out of nothing, score an overhead kick from from 40 yards out, or not that Haaland's necessarily doing that, but he can really just create a goal from nothing.
Especially in these tight knockout stage game, where it's all about the single header or just the shuffle in the surface. Yeah, it's going to be a Haaland game.
It's well, look, two teams who are very much more famed for their attack perhaps than their solidity at the back. So should be goals. We've talked about two games that we're hoping for goals from for tomorrow. The next one, perhaps less so. Mexico v Ecuador is our third game for tomorrow. Ecuador, we know, famed for defence, keeping things tight. Mexico, in front of their own fans, will be a spectacle as well. What are we fancying from this, James?
I fancy Ecuador if they can shut Mexico out. As soon as Mexico scores a goal, I think that's it. It's done, and Mexico will either run away. Yeah, sorry. If Mexico manage to get that first goal, I don't know if Ecuador has got enough to chase the game.
Yeah. We noticed, Francois, in the alley, it almost fell to the team until they scored the second goal, and then it was all back to happiness again. It feels like a team can go with that kind of a fan base, get an early goal. That could be magic because the fans will absolutely turn on their team. It's an interesting fan base, the Mexican one.
Yeah, I think it comes from years of being disappointing with the results of the national team, so they kind of worry.
Yep.
I think the last 2 games they booed away their team at halftime. Then they came back and ended up scoring and they ended up topping the group pretty comfortably. So Mexico is in a good space. I think the vibe in the country is very high. So they will be looking at stepping into this game with a lot of confidence, but against a very, very strong Ecuador side.
I think that crowd, what the Mexican crowd does is very similar to what happens in the Mexican league. So, and looking at this Mexican squad, it's very home-based. So I don't think that's anything different for them. That's what they're used to. They're expected to win, and it's almost part of what's helping them along. Like, oh, okay, you're not happy with us, right? We've got to try harder. And whereas it's always good to have vocal support, I think. I mean, sometimes the negative stuff, I think they're professional footballers, get over it.
Wow, okay. Well, look, it will, certainly they are expected to win. They would be at home to Ecuador. That's one that the crowd will be very unforgiving if they don't get over the line. But their reward for that would be a home tie against DR Congo or England. Which England versus Mexico in the Azteca, that's a bit of football heritage and stuff. That could be a really special occasion. Look, that's the 3 games for tomorrow. Coming back after the break, we'll check in with your emails and we will preview the news desk, let you know what's going on in the world. Let's keep calm and carry on. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. This is the Unbeaten World Cup Show. Welcome back to the Unbeaten World Cup Show. We are wrapping up a sensational day in the World Cup 2026. A quick jump to the news desk. One of our with heroes across the World Cup. This is our hero off the field, Lumumba Veya, the DR Congo super fan, who stands motionless at each game in tribute. He's at the World Cup in a big way, in such a big way that he's got his own brand endorsement. He has been signed up by World Cup partner Rexona. Also, sponsorships on this show are available to seal their Rexona. And he says, in I'm sure his own words, with 72 hours sweat and odour protection, I stay focused on my passion. Possibly not with that accent, I don't know. But anyway, it was bizarre that he's got that. He's there holding up the can of deodorant. Good luck to you, Lumumba Veya, the super fan there. Hey, we've got an email just time for, this is Tony in London that asks, guys, it's weird to say, I'm beaten, this is weird to say, but has VAR been good in this World Cup? Compared to the EPL, there's nowhere near as much complaining about it. Are there less controversies? Or is it actually getting better?
I think VR has been fine, very, very precise in what they are able to show. I think FIFA has been better at not showing the plays that were contentious. Yeah. And we didn't have that much polemic because of that. Yeah.
You say better, I say secretive.
Secretive.
Football for me is a game that shouldn't have the debate taken out of it anyway. It's part of what makes it a great game, is that you can argue these things, but VAR, it's become less intrusive as the tournament's gone on, I'd say. And I don't necessarily say that's for the better, but it's not been as obviously annoying.
Sometimes I would have liked to have a little bit more of these replays here. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you sort of take the point with the EPL there? Because we stopped watching the games, and certainly the amount of goals over last season that were suddenly ruled out. As a fan, it feels like you can't celebrate them anymore. And yet in this World Cup, we've seen less of that. Do you feel like the FIFA are trying to prevent us from seeing replays to have those controversial moments?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, three yeses, FIFA. We're watching you. We know what you're up to. That's okay. Hey, brilliant day, brilliant show. Thank you, James. Thank you, Francois, for your time. Keep those emails coming in. Thank you. That was Tony in London. You can send us your messages, send us your questions, give us some feedback on the show. Tell us where your vibes are at. That is worldcup@unbeaten.com or give us a follow on Instagram there. That's at Unbeaten Sports. You also get a sense of all the other stuff that we've got on the channel. We've got really, really good gear for you at the moment. Tonight we have Martha's Vineyard Sharks at Danbury Westerners in the New England Collegiate Baseball League. That's going to be an absolute belter. We will be back. We are reacting to all of the action throughout this World Cup, more or less on the final whistle. Great to have you with us today. Thanks for your company. We're going to see you real soon. Remember, whatever you do, stay unbeaten.
Thanks for your friendship.